Feinwerkbau P8X is a high-end competition air pistol. Production started in 2016 and continues today in Oberdorf, Germany, at the Feinwerkbau Westinger and Altenburger. It is a first-class pistol in the same class as Steyr LP10 Evo, Morini CM200, Walther LP500 and Pardini K12. It made an appearance at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics in the air pistol women's final. It is not as popular as the Steyr or Morini, but it gains traction among the younger competitors, so it might show up more often in the future at World Cups and championships. The P8X is the last in a long line of air pistols made by Feinwerkbau. A list that starts in 1965 with the Model 65 and then 80 and 90 that were Springers, continues with models 100, 102 and 103 that are SSPs, model C10, C20, C25 on CO2, and at the end with the models P30, P34, P40, P44 and P8X that are PCPs. This is also the evolution of air pistol technology. First were the Springers that use the power of a spring to push a piston, then came the SSPs, meaning single-stroke pneumatic, that compress air with a manual lever. Then came the CO2s that store carbon dioxide in a small cylinder, and finally the current tech that is the PCPs, pre-charged pneumatic, that store compressed air in a cylinder. The cylinder used by the P8X contained 97 cc of compressed air at 200 bars. This volume is enough for 160 to 170 shots, after which the pressure is at around 100 bars. On the included manometer, it can be observed that the maximum pressure is 200 bars and the minimum pressure is around 80 bars. I tested this, and from 200 bars I shot 165 shots and in the end the pressure was a little above 100. The manufacturer states in the manual that when the needle is at 100 bars there are 30 shots left in the cylinder. The pistol is equipped with a Belleville washer air regulator located around here, so the air release is constant until the minimum pressure of 80 bars. This makes the pellet projectile speed to be constant between 280 bars, very important for accuracy. Below 80 bars, when the needle drops below the green area, the speed drops and so does the accuracy. I tested the pellet speed on a chronograph with an almost full tank and an almost empty tank. The speed was constant around 151-152 meters per second with an 8.1 grains pellet. With a much lighter pellet of 7 grains, the speed was around 163-164 meters per second. The compressed air cylinder can be filled with a special pump, a scuba tank or a compressor. None of the options are easy or cheap. The pump costs around 175 to 300 euros and requires significant manual effort. The scuba tank is also around 200 euros, but then you need to find a diving shop to refill it, and that also costs something. And a compressor that goes all the way to 200 bars costs around 700 to 1000 euros. Quite expensive. I chose the manual pump variant. Like I said, the P8X is a competition pistol, and as such it must comply with the ISSF rules for the 10-meter air pistol event. For once, it's single shot only. A new pellet must be loaded manually after each shot. The caliber is 4.5 mm or 0.177 inch. Uses lead pellets of the wad cutter type, meaning that it has a flat nose. The total weight of the pistol is below the maximum of 1.5 kilograms. It actually weighs 991 grams with 2 barrel weights. The trigger weight is above the minimum of 500 grams, but only slightly. The length is below the maximum of 420 millimeters. It is actually at 415 millimeters. The height is below the maximum of 200 millimeters at 145 millimeters. Barrel length is 218 millimeters. It starts from here and goes only around here. This is an extra piece. The barrel ends somewhere around here. The operation is quite simple. This side lever opens up and retracts the bolt. At this point it meets resistance. Pushing through that resistance makes a click. This is the cocking of the striker. Next, the pellet is put in this trough or channel, and the side lever is pushed forward until it clicks. By doing this, the bolt pushes the pellet into the barrel or the chamber. One thing I encountered is that sometimes the pellet catches on the chamber's outer edge and cannot be pushed in. Repositioning the pellet solves this. I don't know if it's a pistol problem or a pellet problem. There is of course a dry fire mechanism like in any competition pistol, as it is an indispensable training tool. The system is operating by a crossbar above the trigger. This one. When it's pushed all the way to the left, with the white dot visible, the dry fire system is engaged. The trigger can be pulled with the same characteristics, but no air will be expelled. Pushed on the other side, with the red dot visible, the pistol is ready for live fire. The bar can only be pushed when the pistol is cocked. And now the pistol is not cocked and the bar cannot be pushed. The pistol has a very good balance right in front of the trigger, around here. But for those who prefer a little more weight at the muzzle, there is a very nice weight system. The P8X comes with two sets of two 15-gram sliding weights. This one is a set. They are inserted into the rail at the back where are these cuts. You put the weight here and then slide it forward where you want to fix it, and then using this hole there's a screw inside and fix it in place so it doesn't slide anymore. The trigger is a strong point for this model, although it is a mechanical trigger. It is extremely smooth, crisp and precise. Some say it rivals the electronic trigger of other manufacturers. Like any competition trigger, it has two stages. The first stage is around 400 grams. Then there's a very clear wall. That is the second stage. To overcome this wall, another 110-120 grams are required. Then the gun goes click, but the trigger blade does not move any further. This makes a good trigger. All the trigger parameters are adjustable. The trigger blade can be moved in 3 dimensions: up, down, left, right, or rotated, as it's mounted on a ball joint. The trigger blade assembly can be moved also up and down and backwards and forwards to suit the shooter's finger length. First stage weight is adjusted with the F1 screw. Second stage weight is adjusted with the F2 screw. First stage length is adjusted with the S1 screw. Trigger stop or over travel after release can also be adjusted with a screw. I think that one there. Sear engagement can also be adjusted. The trigger comes perfectly configured from the factory. It is advisable to leave it like that. The sighting system is also of the highest quality and fully adjustable. The default front sight is 4.2 mm in width, which for a normal person arm length corresponds to the perceived width of the air pistol target Black Bull at 10 meters. There are front sights with other widths available for purchase. The post can be moved backwards and forwards on this rail, and the whole rail can be canted left or right using these lateral screws. The rear sight can be moved backward as a whole on a rail. Now it's a little back. And can also be canted left and right with these two lateral screws. The rear sight can be adjusted for windage with this thumb screw. If the shots are to the right of the intended spot, rotate the thumb screw towards the R letter. The elevation thumb screw is this one, and if the shots are too high, rotate the thumb screw towards the H letter. Both thumb screws are click adjustable, where a click changes the impact point by 2 mm on a target at 10 meters. This is the click. It's not very audible, but it's very tactile. Further adjustment to the rear sight can be done via this screw that modifies the rear sight cut width from 2.2 mm to 7.5 mm, and this screw that modifies the rear sight cut depth from 1.7 mm to 3.2 mm. The grip is also very adjustable on the P8X model. It comes from the factory as a single-piece anatomical grip made from walnut wood. It can be ordered in all sizes, XS, S, M, L, and XL for both left and right hands. This one is the M right model. The size can be further adjusted with the palm support, this one, that can be moved up or down for approximately 1 centimeter. The position of the grip can also be adjusted. The grip inclination backwards and forwards or left to right can be adjusted, as well as the grip rotation to the barrel axis for 3 degrees. So it can be moved like this. Now, as you can see, it's a little rotated. All these adjustments can be done with the grip still attached to the pistol by inserting an Allen key into these holes where the adjustment screws are. The P8X has 3 recoil reduction systems. First, the absorber. It is a small piston behind the trigger or behind the bolt. When pulling the trigger, the valve at the intermediate chamber is opened and the firing piece and the propelling charge released. The propelling charge will drive the pellet out of the barrel, and simultaneously the piston of the absorber is driven to the rear via a push rod inside the bolt. Due to the counteracting masses, pellet and piston, the pellet impulse felt by the shooter is significantly reduced. Second is the compensator. It is a cone in front of the barrel muzzle. This diverts the airflow from behind the pellet so that it does not destabilize it. And third is the stabilizer or barrel ports. It's these 3 small holes at the top of the barrel where a bit of air escapes. This upward airflow pushes the barrel down to counteract the upward movement due to the recoil. An air pistol recoil is mild, but with these systems it is removed completely. One thing to note here, the absorber needs to be checked regularly. The manual states a procedure to check the operation by feeling a resistance when opening the side lever after a shot. I cannot feel that resistance. If anyone has additional info on this, please leave it in the comment. Also, the absorber piston can be knocked off its normal positioning by strong vibration that can happen during transport. Because of that, the manufacturer provides a travel lock, this small plastic shim that needs to be inserted into this side hole, like that. So every time you're transporting the pistol, this should be here. In the box we find a huge plastic pistol case. It is meant to carry more than just the pistol. Inside we get the test fire card, the user manual plus some advertising brochures, two air cylinder thread protection caps, the toolbox, an extra air cylinder, and the gun wrapped in a plastic bag. Inside the toolbox we find a screwdriver, the air filling adapter inside the plastic mesh for protecting the threads, two sets of barrel weights, two Allen keys, the discharge tool, and the company logo sticker. Maintenance on this pistol is quite light. The manual mentions the regular greasing of the air cylinder threads with the special Feinwerkbau grease. Also, once a year, the trigger parts should be also greased and the barrel cleaned with a normal cleaning kit. Feinwerkbau P8X is a modern air pistol launched relatively recently that starts to make its presence felt in the international competitions. It is extremely adjustable and has a very good mechanical trigger. For those who don't want the hassle of an electronic trigger, the P8X is the best choice.